So we have Kane, one of the most profitable day traders on TopStep with a live funded account, and currently one of my favorite traders, I have to say. That's why you're currently on. Six figures in payouts, if I'm not mistaken.
Not quite there, but getting
Almost,
real close,
really
almost there.
close,
But trust
which
me,
is very
you
good.
you honor me too much, but
Yes,
we're getting
sir.
close there. It'll be sooner than you think.
Yeah, he's been on YouTube for, if I'm not mistaken, 7 months. About.
Well, probably a bit more than that, about like 8 months coming up on a year. But yeah, right
Beautiful,
around there.
beautiful. And Kane, how old are you?
I'm coming up on my 21st birthday here in a few months,
Beautiful.
but right now at the big 20, 2 decades, which is depressing but delightful at the same time.
Me as well. I'm actually 20 years old. I'm turning 21 in August.
Oh, so I'm
What
older
a
than you by
what,
one
what
month.
Oh, nice, nice. All right, so Kane, what really made you day trade? Like,
Yeah, there's that goes way back, and I say way back like it was eons ago, even though it was just a few years ago. But that was definitely a few dedicated years, and that's really what brought me into day trading, just the dedication to not only improving myself, but improving my financial state. I mean, I'm starting off in high school, right? I always made an effort to be an entrepreneur, right? I would go to arcades and I would play the same game over and over, hit the jackpot every single time, and I would go out there and collect major prizes and flip them and make a profit. I always had that entrepreneurial mindset. Going into college though, I mean arcades aren't going to support, college
yeah.
tuition, right? So at the end of the day, went to try to go drop shipping. I remember investing like about a couple, maybe about $1,000 or $2,000 out of that, and ultimately just having going back to that same fast food restaurant every single time to not give up, but to earn the capital to reinvest in myself. And it actually came about after I failed, I think on my third store, where a buddy of mine, my mentor actually, he said he would casually mention it like, "Oh, I just did some day trading. I made like $500 today." I'm like, "I'm interested.
We
Talk
always
to me
got
on
that
that."
one guy that like
Mm-hmm.
pushes us, and you really seek out to him when you're in need. He pretty much
Absolutely.
lifts you up. You're like, oh well, what if he's able to do it? Who says I'm not able to do it? You know?
Absolutely. And again, it was actually kind of the opposite with him. He actually made so much fun of me when I was messing up the beginning. But he told me one thing. He said, Kane, I've had so many people ask me, teach me how to day trade, but they never get through less than maybe more than a week of learning with me before they just gave up. And I told him, I vowed right then and there, not only was I going to go through the week, but I was going to become a better day trader than him. And
Ah,
only in a
yeah.
couple months, I would say I've surpassed him. But again, he will always be my mentor in my eyes, and he's doing great right now.
What's his
So,
name? Let's give him out a shout out real
oh
quick.
yeah, absolutely. To his name, his game tag or screen name is Nuts. Nice
Nuts.
to see you. But Steve, but he's going nuts on the charts. But Steve, I haven't got a chance to talk to you in a minute. I hope you're doing really, really well. Big shout out to you, my mentor. Day one, even back in the days where you're laughing at me because I couldn't figure out where the fair value gap was. Good times, good times. But yeah, he definitely got me into day trading, and he told me that no one else had made it this far, and I just kept going and I never stopped.
You
That's
said
really
you
what you
were
gotta do.
working at a fast food restaurant.
Oh yeah, back in the day, man. I used to manage like from when I was 16, managing a Jersey Mike's, right? And it went on and on. And again, you get so tired of just going through the same motions of being, scolded by the same type of customers that are just getting over and fighting you over a sandwich. And at the end of the day, you just want out of it. You want out of that. You want out of someone telling you what you're worth an hour, and you gotta start finding ways, and you gotta start re investing. I truly believe that a job, especially at like the low, like entry level jobs, they need to be a short term
I agree.
job. They
Yeah.
cannot be a long term. They
Dead
cannot be
end.
a part of your life. Yeah, they cannot be a dead end. They have to lead somewhere. And most of the time, it's taking what you've had out of your income and investing it into either yourself or a portfolio or something to get you start earning some actual income from your assets,
We
whether it
call
be
it the
you or something
rabbit in
else.
the hole. You just gotta take it out.
Exactly. Yeah, of course.
So like, how long you been trading?
Yeah, of course. So I'm coming up on about 2 years, but I say a lot
Yes.
of people, I hear a lot of people when I ask, oh, how long you've day traded? They go, oh, I've been day trading 7 years. And I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
that's incredible. Or like 10 years. I'm like, that's incredible. But more times than not, it's they say those dates, but it's full of breaks here and there
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they, stop trading. But
Consistently.
when I say 2 years, I mean every single day, 2, 3 hours a day,
Yeah.
minimum of either back testing, studying, note taking. I mean, I got like 4 or 5 notebooks full of just of work beyond among other things. So when I say 2 years, you can ensure and bet that is every single day, day in and day out, and just outworking as many people as possible to get to where I want to be as fast as possible.
So right now, like, what's your set goal? Like your achievement? You've already reached five figures in Top Step with Top Step. Are you planning to obviously reach the peak or
Yeah,
go
so
with a private account eventually?
yeah, that's a great question, and I'm not sure if not a lot of people can catch up to the top as much anymore with the new set of rules, but yeah, the people at the top have. I think I know Coach Dakota just cashed out 250,000 in payout, which was incredible, and congrats to him. But among other things, I think a good healthy goal is hit up to get around six figures in payouts and then possibly start a potential side account. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind continuing trading with prop firms. A lot of people want to just get in and out of the prop firm space, but I see the prop firm space as a huge opportunity to take such low capital and turn it into so much more. Like the investment levels that you can change. Like if I could throw $300 into an account and turn it into $10,000 real quickly without really any financial risk other than that $300, and being able to have set limits on that with obviously the platform and space of the prop firm's trading platform, it's a really good risk to reward in my opinion. Most people think of the risk reward when it comes to inside their platform. I'm thinking about how much money I've spent on that and how much I can turn that into over time. So it's yeah, I definitely say I'm kind of rambling here, but the long-term goal I would say is definitely get up to six figures, maybe start a live account, but for overall, stick with the platform and try to climb my way up to those leaderboard spots.
So with Top Step, you primarily focus on the Nasdaq 100. I assume because I've been watching you trade for the last couple days. And what's your overall strategy? I know you trade the ICT concepts. So could you walk us through maybe what model, or is it more indefined when it comes to the primary conditions of the market? So it'd be more strategical depending on the day and the seasonal tendencies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And it goes down to really both of what you said. Of course, everyone wants to have a really cool, crisp model that is going to work flawlessly every time, or even the majority of the time. And that's just not realistic in the market because the market's ever changing, right? The same market presents itself can have two different outcomes, right? And again, you just really
Mhm.
have to understand, especially if they're at two different times of the season. So you have to understand what's going on in the market via news, what's going on in the world. On top of that, what's going on, market conditions, right? It could be very low volatility, or for example, there could be news coming out and could be incredible volatility. So it's all about managing your risk and managing your even your trade, whether you should go in or not. That's why a lot of times, and of course, like you said, I trade NASDAQ 100, but I'll monitor S&P 500 every now and then to check for SMTs or divergences. So when I go into the market and I'm ready to take a trade or I'm ready to be looking on the trade, the first thing I do is mark out really three key things, right? I want to mark out the 830 in the true
Take
open.
notes. Take notes.
Oh, absolutely. Get your pens out, right? Get your pens, papers out. Let's go to it. So, first thing I want to look at is the 830 open and the true open. And those are
So you
two
prime
massive.
sorry, you
Go
primarily
ahead.
wake up very early around maybe 7 a.m. just to look at the analysis pre-hand and look at the 8:30 open beforehand or after the 9:30 equities open.
So most recently, I've been opening myself up to get on the markets and observe. I don't start the lives until around 9:20ish, 9:30ish, because again, I don't think most people want to sit for an hour during
Yep.
pre-market, but I definitely try to prioritize myself to at least look at the market around 8:30. And the reason why 8:30 is because that's when a lot of news drivers come out.
Yeah.
That's when a lot of the relative equal highs and lows have been formed, and of course the 8:30 open. That is a really good reference point. If I observe the 8:30 open can really overlap with some key confluences, whether that be some new daily opening gaps or new weekly opening gaps, or even some key fair value gaps or previous fair value gaps. I know in recent price action, we observed yesterday, I believe on February, for February 4th, first presented fair value gap, yesterday's price action went and referenced that right at around the 830-ish level. And so you want to be able to watch that and observe that to see how price action is going to set itself up for the day. So that way, when I come into the live around 9:20, 9:30, I am ready to go to quickly deliver because I don't want to sit there and look around for like 10, 15 minutes. I want to know exactly what I want to deliver to my community of traders and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is the precise levels that I want to see price bounce off of. And this is where we could potentially find a trade. And there's times where I'm like, market's not doing that. That's okay. Let's, take a step back. But more times than not, I'm understanding. I already know what I'm going to be looking for. And the strategy, which that question to answer that would be most of the time, right? I want to look toward myself, the 830 and the true open. I want to align myself with that to be targeting those key levels. And of course, targeting previous new weekly opening gaps and new daily opening gaps. The final thing I want to target, so the third thing that I mark out is the relative equal highs and the relative equal lows. If those things start aligning up and providing a setup, for example, let's say we open up, take out some sell side liquidity, resting above near the highs or some relative equal highs that overlap with the 830 and the true open. Perfect. We're going to watch maybe price bounce off a new daily opening gap, find in maybe a turtle soup or a fair value gap for a silver bullet during the 10 o'clock hour, and we're going to absolutely crush price with precision and price and time.
No, that's wonderful. So when it comes to these setups, how do you manage the risk?
Yeah, absolutely. And it all comes down to what the market conditions are. For example, today wasn't that volatile in my opinion. We saw like maybe 30, 40 points within the first couple minutes, which was typically a normal opening range. But in some previous days, we've noticed hundreds of points be distributed, right? It all depends on the trade. I'm using logic, and I think a lot of traders forego logic within their trades. They see their model, but they don't understand their model. They don't understand why it should work, right? And why, if it goes to this location, it doesn't work, right? So if we have a fair value gap, the reason why that fair value gap works is because there is a lack of opposing orders in that space. So if price goes beyond that, that proves that it didn't work in that sense, or there was a stronger amount of opposing orders than we originally thought. That's where your stop loss needs to be placed. And so in lower volatility markets, maybe I want to do 30, 40, or maybe like 20, 25 points and maybe risk one E-mini contract or maybe 15 micros, 1.5 E-mini contracts. But if it's very high volatility, might want to have a stop loss to make sense for my trade, maybe have like 50 points on the highest side, right? 50 points. I wouldn't really want to do more than 50 points, but
So
then
the
maybe just do five micros.
risk to reward looks like maybe a 1 to 2, 1 to 4 at times.
Yeah, I'd always want to stick around. I think 1 to 3 is the golden spot, right? I think
Yes.
that's the real sweet spot because not only can you get, 1 to 3s, pretty manageable trades to have, but not only that, it's not going to go so long that it's going to, one, cause you to be very impatient, which I think is the number one issue traders are struggling with, lack of patience. But more on that later. I think that 1 to 3 is a really good sweet spot. Not only that, because you're able to help manage your trade psychology wise, but also thinking of it mathematically, you can get yourself, double of what you put in. And instead of thinking about triple, think about it as I got not only what I put in and another amount to, keep as profit, but I also got that third part, right? 1 to 3 to use for my next trade, right? And think about that putting in the risk. You've collected a 1 to 2, put that off to the side, and then you have another set, right, of a 1% that you can risk for your next opportunity.
Do you always try to go break even as soon as it's given?
Yeah, I like doing break even, and again, that's why I unfortunately some people say, "Wow, you encounter a lot of break even trades," and I
Yeah,
say, "Well,
it's very
I
important. It's very
of course,
important.
yeah. I fully believe trading is a defensive game. As a Top Step ambassador, I see it all, right? I see so many traders going out all throughout the Top Step Discord and stuff, going for one to tens or like one to like fives, but they're full porting their accounts, even if it's a one to one and they're going in 15 contracts and they're trying to get it right now. They're trying to be profitable now. And that's not how trading's going to work because the next day or the next trade, you're going to give it all back, even if you got lucky. And that's why trading is a defensive game where you have to slowly build your capital. You want to prioritize not losing your capital if you want to be profitable. Winning trades are going to come. But I think it's very wise to set your stops to break even once the market has given it a reason to reverse. Perfect example on today, price action went out and took out the most recent high. Boom, set your stops to break even. Because why? Price action could sweep off that, reverse, and then gain some
Or
resistance at the
take
highs.
profits. There you go.
Exactly, right? Or, of course, not only take set your stops to break even, but a good lesson we learned today, take some profit, right? Set yourself a partial, gain some of that money from the market. Even if it's $200-300, it's a defensive game. You're slowly, not only you're protecting your capital, but you're also earning income that is going to be able to, right, help build your accounts.
For me, what I see a lot with traders, especially, is the fact that they take one perfect setup, they follow the rules, and then the next day they lose a trade, which is fine, still up, 2 Rs, but end up overtrading or using a heavier size on the re-entry just to make it all back in one day. Like you said, you got to take it day by day. And another thing is the fact that they're switching up their position sizing. You should always stay with the same contracts or figure out the point system. And keeping the risk tolerance very tight. Like you said, it's more defensive. Yeah. So
I absolutely agree with that. And again, it's important to have a range, right, with your contracts and your risk sizing.
mhm,
Definitely because, right, like as we said before, the market's going to always be different. And sometimes you have to make slight adjustments,
no.
but you don't want to go so outside of a range that you're trading one E-mini contract now, and then the next trade after lose a trade and you tilt into a revenge trade where you're trading like five contracts. You need to have a very respectable, tight range.
What do you think is the best solution to not over trading and not killing your account?
Honestly, that is a very, very difficult question.
It
But one
is.
thing that I like to provide advice to those traders who are watching, who are wondering the same thing. How can I protect my account? And I've had so many traders ask me, say, Kane, I know how to trade. I know what I'm doing. I know the strategy. I see it work day in and day out. I follow in on a strategy for one day. I say I'm not going to do it. I say I'm not going to overtrade. I say I'm not going to over risk. But then boom, just like their brain turns off, they go into a trance, they overtrade and they over risk. And the best instance of that is two things. First off, you got to be honest with yourself. We're all humans. We're gonna make mistakes. I'm sure everyone's overtraded. I've definitely overtraded. I've over leveraged. I've had downfalls that I've had to overcome. And that's being honest with yourself, saying, you know what? I made a mistake. That's okay. I've learned from it. And I'm going to have to. There's an old saying, it takes 100 times to learn and 1,000 times to master. And you're gonna have to
Yeah,
repeat
that's
some
true.
mistakes over and over and over again. And that's okay. A lot of people say like, "Oh, why can't I learn this? Why can't I figure it out?" And I even had talks like that to myself. But you have to be honest with yourself and say, "Hey, that's okay. We've run into this mistake again. Let's do something about it. Let's make a slight change here. Even if you run into the same mistake again, you're going to see more consistency that you're not going to run into that mistake maybe as often, right? And so that's the first thing. Be honest with yourself. And the second thing is when it comes to over trading, just set a plan, right? I know so many people that sounds counterintuitive when it's like, well, I set a plan, but I don't follow the plan. You got to set some ranges. You got to set some ground rules, and you have to do your best to stick with those rules. And the best thing to do
hmm
once you've fulfilled those rules and those limitations is just push away from your desk, go outside and take a walk. Take 5 minutes, right? Do your best to set yourself up to make it as easy as possible to push away your desk, whether you set an alarm, whether you set a limit of trades, right? As soon as that goes off, boom, get out of there. And one bonus tip of advice for people who overtrade, get an accountability partner. I think that gets really underrated because one of the harshest things for other people to deal with is social interaction, like social disapproval, right? And if you have that accountability partner and you tell that accountability partner, I am not going to overtrade, I'm going to trade once a day. And then you go to that accountability partner and they say, how'd you do today? And you have to sit there and say, yeah, I overtraded, right? that's going to hurt. You're not going to want to feel that. And you're going to make changes to not overtrade. So three pieces of advice: be honest with yourself, set a plan, and get yourself out of there. Once you fulfill that plan, go take a walk, mentally cool yourself off, and then get an accountability partner. That's my best three bits of advice to overtrading.
We were speaking about fundamentals, right? You said that fundamental has some sort of role in your technical side. Could you walk us through it?
Yeah, certainly, and I'm assuming you're just referring to just the setup itself
Yeah.
for my strategy. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good mix, but more often than not, I'm always looking for fair value gaps and breaker blocks.
So
I
you're
really
not
like
really
that
in
combo.
the fundamental side. You're more on the technicals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually would say yeah, I'm more on the
Do
technical.
you
Sorry if
ever
I'm
just like adjust your strategy depending on the seasonal tendencies? Let's just say you're taking a trade, for 5 times in a row it was beautiful, it worked, and then next week you're taking 3 losses that week and you feel like crap. Do you ever adjust your strategy?
I think adjust is a very strong word. And I think tweak is the better word. I tweak my strategy all the time, and that's okay. The last thing you want to do is fully like push away something that's worked, right?
Mm.
And you're going to have weeks in the market where the market's just not going to be on your side, right? I've had weeks like that. I think my biggest losing streak was like maybe 4 or 5 trades in a row. And it is, it sucks going live and people watching you, trusting your judgment and your ideas just for to lose over and over and over, and those people to trust you and keep coming back to watch your content. It's very, very, admirable and I'm very thankful for that. But beyond that, back to the question. Sorry, I went a little divot
It's all right.
there, but yeah, it comes back to just how to handle those losses. And when you do take a loss, you don't need to scrap everything, get it to the back. You need to understand that it's based on probabilities, and you've tested this, and you have to build
Yeah.
trust with your ideas. And again, of course, you don't want to blindly enter a strategy. You want to have logic. And I really want to enunciate that
Yeah.
again because I mentioned it prior. You have to have logic behind each and every one of your trades, right? Of course, you want to use the same model idea, but that model has to be supported by sound-based logic of why price action should do that. So sure, if there is a different, set of market conditions, I'm going to make a tweak to my strategy to maybe increase maybe my stop losses or
Mm.
maybe in
Conditions.
yeah, exactly. It's all
Yeah.
conditional and being able
The
to be
strategy is exactly the same, but the stop loss can vary depending on the entry model,
yeah,
right?
of course,
Or
right?
the seasonal tendency is just consolidating more. Maybe you have a wider stop loss and a little bit, a bigger range, a bigger RR. Leave the
Yeah,
trade
of
going.
course. And of course, and if we're ranging, like you said, and we're having like a seek and destroy type of day, most times I might want to even be a part of that, even if the move delivers. I think ICT said a really good quote, like even if the move delivers, should
Yeah.
you have been a part of that? And that's something you as
Ah,
a
that's
trader has to
yes.
you have to really consider that. And even if I do want to be a part of that move,
Hmm.
I have to say, okay, well, we are definitely ranging in here. We're probably not going to go reach out for some external liquidity, maybe even shrink the take profit, right? And be able to manage that and say, hey, I just want to go for just this
Yeah.
liquidity, boom, get in, get out, put my stops to break even real fast, and that's okay, right?
How do
So you
you
have to just be
how do you
manage that.
stay away from fear of missing out? Because a lot of
Ooh,
my
yeah.
students, when we're trading together, and they're like, "Dude, you just missed a 200-point move." I'm like, "Dude, there's no setup there." He's like, "Yeah, but it's 200 points." And then you're thinking, "Did I do something wrong?" No, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I
How,
know that. I
how
know
do
that.
you get away from the fear of missing out? Is there any techniques you do mentally, or is it
Yeah,
just
try.
acceptance at the end of the day?
I like that. Just acceptance. You just
Yeah.
have to, you just close off your computer. Just say it's just a painful acceptance. No, no. I think it actually, ironically, has to do with the fact that I've been an ambassador for so long, and I've just seen, everyone's making money all the time in the market, but more people are losing money in the markets
Mhm.
all the time. And referring back to those points, take it as someone else who also does like live content. And I'm
Yeah.
watching some of my own traders in the chat catching. There was a couple days ago where we had this massive move where I was, predicting that price action wanted to go take out some of that opening range, then reverse down. I was waiting for that short. And I saw a couple of my traders in the chat absolutely crushed the long. There was an entry there, and it was a totally valid
Yeah.
entry, but I wanted to wait later into the day to look for a trade. And they were catching, I think, like exactly like you said, like a 200-point move. And of course, they're popping off, and I'm popping off for them because I'm happy for them, right? And at the end of the day, yeah, you have to really. It's this quote that I don't know if I heard this from someone else or if I came up with it myself, but so many traders, the biggest mistake that they are making is a lack of patience because everyone wants to make money right now. They want to be profitable now. They want to be successful
Mhm.
now. They see it on social media. They see all these social media gurus, their Lamborghinis, their mansions that they said they made from trading, and I'm sure some of them made it from trading, but at the end of the day, everyone wants things right here and right now, and you have to realize this is just such a simple fact, but the next trading day, unless it's the weekend, is less than 24 hours away.
Yes.
Less than 24 hours, right? If you can wait like weeks and months and years of studying to learn how to be a day trader, you can wait 24 hours for the next setup. So if it's not there, don't care. Simple as that. Just a quick, simple phrase. If it's not there, don't care, right? Even if price is climbing, you have to reiterate the fact that, hey, it's delivering, but would I have actually wanted to trade this, right? And more times than not, you have to just say no. And that's okay, right?
Yeah. Don't let
Because
the
you know,
cloud, don't let that cloud, that cloudiness get to you.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. And I know that feeling. Take it as someone who's, had felt so much FOMO in trading over the years. And at the end of the day, you really just have to say, yeah, I know the market. And the best feeling, ironically, right, when you take either a loss or you miss out on a trade is saying, wow, I knew it went exactly right to take profit. And it's that mindset to say, I knew where exactly it wanted to go. That should not be as a detriment to say, oh, I missed that. It should be a, wow, I knew exactly where it wanted to go. And I know these markets repeat themselves or tend to have very similar characteristics.
Yes.
If the market's next opportunity is probably less than 24 hours away, or even maybe another opportunity in that session, you're good to go, man. Just wait for the next opportunity. So it's not that far away. It's really not,
Yeah,
right?
so I wanted to talk to you about you were speaking about how you took 4 losses in a row or 5 losses in a row, and with
Mm,
one e-mini, those are heavy losses, especially when they add up 400, 800. It adds up to 1,600 after 4 losses. If you're risking what 10 points, 10, 20
yeah.
points, it adds up. And what helps you get out of the situation? Is it de-risking or is it just keeping your cool and just keep pushing? With one e-mini, follow the strategy, and eventually the risk to reward will play out, and you will be back to break even.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's multiple ways of going about this, but the way I typically go about it is when I'm in drawdown is a mix of the two very things that you said, right? Which is ironic, but again, you want to, of course, have great risk management. If you really want to be, okay with you want to lock in with that account, and especially with it's a live account, you don't really have a choice to say, well, I'm gonna go start a new combine, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Again, you have to be able to, so it's a mix, right? If I'm on like a combine, for example, and I'm in that situation, right? Maybe I'm like, all right, let's ride or die with the E-mini
Yeah.
because, right?
Yeah.
Then, it's not that big of a detriment. And
Yeah.
again, it's like you said, the risk reward. But in those situations, right, with the live earn XFA, right, where that's money invested, right? Then yeah, you're absolutely going to follow rule number one, have risk management. And so
Yes.
you're going to have to be able to have, again, keyword, patience in the market with and building yourself slowly out of there. And I want to give a shout out to one of my traders who I really admired his work because he's been going in those scenarios where he's been in deep drawdown, but he works with just 2 micros to get himself out of drawdown, and he built himself all the way out from nearly blowing his account. I think like $100 from blowing the account to all the way back making like $2,000, $3,000 to get all the way back with just 2 micros. And it's incredible, even though it
Yeah.
takes a long, long time. I want to give a shout out to ZZ because again, I watched him do that and it's just really admirable. And it's the same scenario,
Yeah.
right? You have to de-risk when you're on those losing streaks. You really have to trust your process, maybe make a couple tweaks based off what the previous markets is. And again, if you're not studying what the previous markets are your losses, how are you learning? You have
Yeah.
to study your losses really well and understand why. The why did market move this way? A perfect example, back in the day, I used to have a really good, pretty much like a silver bullet strategy, but I noticed all the time price action would induce the fair value gap and go straight to the order block. And it did
Mm,
that for like a month straight.
yeah.
And I was on a losing streak. That was the time where I was losing like 4 or 5 in a row because I just had my stop loss right above the fair value gap.
Yeah.
And that was it. I de-risked, put myself in to have my stop loss above the order block, and boom, I went on I think that was my longest winning streak of like
Yes.
11 trades in a row. And
I.
again,
Oh, sorry. Go.
oh, you're fine. Again, 11 trades in a row. And it was probably one of the most fun weeks on the Discord, the old Discord, because just win after win after win after win, just building myself not only out a drawdown, but building that account all the way up to getting a payout of, I think that one was like 2000 and $2,780. That payout, like going from like near blowing the account to all the way up to all the requirements for a payout, and then getting about, taking out half the account and getting a nice little payout, paying for a nice dinner. And again, that's what patience does. Patience brings rewards, right?
It's funny you say that because I had an account and I lost 17 trades in a row. I don't know how, but I did.
It happens.
17 trades, and I had $100 left on the
Mhm.
$2,000 XFA account, and I ended up getting a $10,000 payout after a month off the same account that had $100 left. Isn't that crazy?
No, that's awesome, and
It's
that's how it
insane.
should be done, right? And again,
Insane.
patience and dedication is what's going to get you those results.
Yeah. What do you think are some common mistakes that new traders do, or even professionals?
Yeah, and I definitely think well, we'll start with the new traders. The new traders who I unfortunately have to call the trend traders, not because they
Mm.
trade trends,
Yes.
right? But it's because they see on social media the trends, right? They are following trends of all these traders or gurus online saying, "Oh, I just made like $100,000 off this account, or I made like $5,000 in 12 seconds," or
Yeah.
like the most bizarre statements, right? And
Mhm.
it's ironically, trading is like you see people dating on Instagram and it's like this perfect life, and it's, because that's on social media, and just like that, trading, right? There's going to be the low moments of trading. And again, new traders kind of get that rose tinted glasses of what trading can be, and they
Yes.
come in ready to win now. They're ready to find some quick strategy, and they don't go through the process. They don't understand that you need to take things slow. It's not a
Absolutely.
sprint, it is a marathon. And that's what's going to build your accounts. Do not go and keep switching strategies. Do not go and, full port your accounts. Take it slow. Be okay to trade on demo for like 6 to 8 months. That's what I did. I traded on my demo account for like 6 to 8 months before I even attempted my first Top Step challenge. And trust me, when you take it slow, and I was trading on demo, I remember waking up with my mentor, nuts, ironically, like 6, 7 a.m. I would call him on the phone, and he would be trading his funded account, making real money, and I was trading a demo account every single day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. There were sometimes he wouldn't wake up, and I would just sit there and trade by myself on a demo account.
Yeah.
And again, when that funded account came, after I told myself, all right, I've done everything I needed to do, I made 10 to 20% for multiple months, crush the challenge, right? First try, first attempt, and that's how it should be done. So for new traders, take it slow, put in the work, you'll see the results, trust me. And then for professional traders, again, it's just having patience. I think so many, even
Yes. Yes.
professional traders, right, just try to jump the gun, right? There's going to be days that you don't want to trade. There's going to be days where you're going to not see your setup. If it's not there, don't care. That's my best phrase I can give you.
Especially when you're a full-time day trader, you have to stay patient because at the end of the day, what I say personally, I say you're not paid by the hour, you're paid by your decisions. And I wanted to ask you a couple of things. Do you believe that there's certain strategies out there that don't work, or do you believe that everything works as long as you have risk management?
I mean, there's definitely strategies that
Expose them.
oh yeah, yep, yep.
Expose them.
We're gonna expose everyone here, right? Ironically, no.
True.
I think every strategy has the potential to work, but there's going to be a lot better strategies, right? Now, obviously, I trade ICT concepts because I love, right? Technical analysis. I like to be unhealthily precise with price action to be able to, when I observe price action, I'm going live. I want to be able to say, this is what price action is most likely going to do. Boom, price action bounce off this level, had a high probability, it's probably going to target this, right? I want to know where price action, I want to see the inner workings of what the algorithm is doing at that time. Now, with other strategies, right? I've seen a guy on TikTok, I don't know if you've seen it, flip a coin and let his
Yes.
and then be profitable. I saw another
Loses
guy on
chicken.
TikTok let
Yeah.
his chicken, yeah, his
Yeah.
chicken
Chicken.
past a funded account, right?
I think he
So
did
if
it.
a
I think he did it
he
too.
did
I think he
and
got it
got a
done.
payout as well.
Risk
So
management.
of course, so at the end of the day, risk management is going to be your absolute key, right, the to profitability. But again, maybe to open it may be a very rusted key if you're like, you know, taking a really poor strategy or especially a strategy that you don't understand. But if you repeat something enough and you know that it is profitable and you've
Mhm.
proven that it's profitable, yeah, any strategy can work. If chicken can be profitable, anything can be profitable.
That's,
There's definitely going to be
that's
stronger, more statistically accurate strategies out there.
so. You know, I'm guessing you're a full-time day trader. You don't work anymore. I can assume that safely, right?
Well, I work for TopStep, well, as an independent contractor. So again, if you want to count that, but yeah, no, I'm focusing everything on trading.
Amazing. That's beautiful. So, as a day trader, right? You come into losing streaks. It's inevitable. It will happen. How do you keep yourself motivated psychologically?
Yeah, that's definitely you're definitely gonna have those days where you just question like is am I doing the right thing? And especially if you don't have like supporting people around you who are not gonna support you. I'm very fortunate to have my parents, and family support me on my decision to day trade. But I know so many day traders out there don't tell their families or don't tell their significant other that they're into day trading because obviously of fear of lack of support. And when you get into those days where you just have massive losing streaks, yeah, I totally get it. There's going to be days where you're going to be questioning everything that you do. But it always comes back to what I said before of that fast food job. It's it's just thinking about if I don't figure something out, if this does not work and I don't make it work, then I'm going to be serving someone else's sub. I'm going to be serving another sub, right? Or I'm going to have to go work for someone to tell me what I'm worth an hour, right? You said it yourself of you're in trading, you're not paid by the hour, you're paid by the decisions. But
Decisions.
if you don't make good decisions, you're going to start being paid by the hour. Simple as that.
Uh, what are some mistakes that you have committed when it came to specifically the technical side? Is there any specific things that you would like to share with us from your trading mistakes that could obviously benefit somebody that's starting out or even a professional day trader could use that information? Any technical side, like we were talking about the order block problem. Is there any specific things that when you started out on the technical side, it maybe stopped you out a little bit early, or your take profit wasn't that significantly good and it just reversed right before taking it or sweeped it? Is there any specific technicals that you would like to tell us about?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you trade ICT, you're definitely going to understand a lot of the ramble that, and even if you trade SMC confluences, like let's take an example of an order block, like you said. And I think one of the technical aspects that a lot of people, I like to see, but a lot of people kind of it goes over their head is the consequent encroachment level of these inefficiencies and these again, for example, gaps, right? Of price. When price actually likes to refer to them, we like to see, for example, if we're going into a bullish order block, we don't want to see it trade into the bottom half of that inefficiency. We want to see it, quickly tag into there and have a strict reversal out of there. Or if it's like a fair value gap, we want to see it, one or two candles in there, and we want to see it like have a strong propulsion out of there. We don't want to see it dangle around in there. And back when I was starting out, right, I would just see it go in there and say, "Yep, that whole block," right? I wouldn't really necessarily look at how the candles interacted with it. I just said, "Oh, price action went into it. All right, let's go," right? And when it comes to those technical aspects of understanding, the certain levels within order blocks or fair value gaps and understanding that it's probably in your best interest to avoid those trades that price action is not respecting the consequent encroachment level, right? And going, if you're in a bullish scenario going below that level and or just going straight through it, right? You want to be prepared for that. And another technical aspect is changing the state of delivery. I think it's really great to confirm that you're if you're waiting for like a 1 minute order block and then boom, you're waiting
Mm,
for a confirmation of that. Maybe just grab a 15-second change in the state of delivery. Or if you're waiting for a 5 minute fair value gap, boom, maybe wait for a 1 minute change of state of delivery. Really give yourself confirmation that, hey, at least price action is reacting to my confluence, right? The
yes.
worst feeling is putting a limit order there and just watching price run through your limit
Oh,
order
that's
and
the worst.
instantly into your stop loss. I'm sure we've all felt that as one of the worst feelings in the world, especially when you go live. I've had that happen before, especially when I was newer to trading, where I was like, all right, here's my fair value gap. I'm ready to go lock in, and you're in and out of the trade in 20 seconds because price action just runs through your confluence. So, two good things. Wait for price action to really respect that key quadrant, the 50% mark or higher,
The discount
or
level.
the discount level, of course. And then, of course, if you want to wait for changes in state of delivery to really get that confirmation, sure, you might lose some profits on that trade, but you're going to have more guarantee and more security. And it's going to help you psychologically saying, at least, price action's reacting to my confluence, right?
What are some time frames that you really focus on? Or do you specifically and primarily stay with the 1 minute time frame?
Yeah, of course. I like the 1 minute time frame a lot. I think it's very, very uh, precise. And again, like the 15-second as well. Some people call me crazy for looking at the 15-second because it's too fast. But I say that's where the market really likes to get technical. I love the technical aspect of just watching how price action is respecting these key levels and these key inefficiencies, even on the lowest time frame. It's so precise. It's like zooming in on a microscope of price action. It's really, really cool. But again, of course, I'm going to use sometimes the 5 and 15 minute to really understand. A perfect example of yesterday, I was looking for that, or not yesterday, 2 days ago, I was waiting for a big short. And I'm like, well, even though I didn't get a trade, I want to see where the big short was going to go to. And I hopped on the hourly sometimes. I'm like, well, there's an hourly fair value gap right there, an hourly
Hmm.
volume imbalance. I think price action is going to dump back down to there. Perfectly went to that level and then continued on its bullish trend. So it really depends. If I'm trying to execute, I'm going to definitely use the 1 minute and the 15-second for that perceived
Oh, 15
entry.
seconds.
Oh yeah, I will sometimes use a 15-second for like a change of the state of delivery,
For
right?
only change of shade of the delivery, or is
Yeah,
it
of course.
mostly for as well as fair value gaps and optimal trading entries?
No, no, no. I'm
Hmm.
just going to be using
Just
it for the change of state of
looking at
delivery.
it.
Yeah, of course, if I'm having days that are like super, super, like we were just talking about, where
Hmm.
it'll run through
Yes.
inefficiencies, I want to see price action really have that change of state of delivery. Even if it's on the 50-second, it just adds a little bit of comfortability
Hmm.
for that trade and probability to that trade. And so that's mainly what I would use the 15-second for. And of course, also to see price action on the lowest, some of the lower time frames respect these key inefficiencies and key levels. It's really, really comforting to watch that as well because, again, understanding and information provides comfortability, and by comfortability you're going to make more probable decisions, and that's what I would use the 15-second to 1 minute for. Again, sometimes look at the 5 and the 15 minute just for maybe structure, and the hourly maybe for like high time frame inefficiencies or draw some liquidity.
So we all know that the ICT strategy can be a lot overwhelming at times. You know, there's a bunch of information that we're looking at, and what do you do? Because I know personally for me, there's been times where I had analysis paralysis when I'm just sitting there accumulating the information and I'm just like stunned. I don't know what to do. And usually I just watch the perfect A setup, leave my desk. It just goes flying away. And I'm just like, no, what did I do? I didn't enter the trade. So, what are some things you do to avoid analysis paralysis? And what do you do if it does happen?
Yeah, I've been there. I think we've all been there when we see
All of
we're
us.
like, oh yeah, A plus setup. I'm talking perfect, belongs in this like Sistine Chapel, like beautiful, frame it up, like it is
Mm.
gorgeous setups, and it happens, right? And at the end of the day, you just have to trust yourself. You just have to trust it. I think that comes with a lot of experience of being unafraid to lose. You have to play to win, and but be okay with losing. I know that kind of goes a little contradictory to what we talked about before of playing trading as a defensive game, and which it is, right? But if your setup is there and you understand that this is a very good A plus high probability setup, right? Your ultimate goal. No one wants to sit there and of course we talk about playing defensive, but at the end of the day, you're here to try to make profitable trades. You're here to try to be a winner, right? don't play to not lose. Play to make be a winner, right? Now, of course, you can play to be a winner in a defensive way by setting your stops to break even when price action gives probable reason using logic and sound time and price action. But at the end of the day, right, if it's there and
Mhm.
everything lines up, you can't be afraid to lose because losing is a way of winning, right? Because when you lose, you gain experience, right? And if you just take that loss and you walk away and you don't really think about it, that's not even the best thing. Now, of course, you don't want to mope on it. You want to be able to learn from it, right? Make your loss, make every single trade, regardless of the outcome, a winning experience, right? Whether you gain profits in the market or you gain insights from the market, right? And that's why when I see my setups, right? Even in today's example, I saw price action come to that volume imbalance at a lot of price action movement to the downside. And I was, a lot of volatility. And I didn't even get a chance to enter it in on TradingView. I got it on my TopStep accounts. So I was like, all right, let's go. Let's run it. I saw the 15-second change of state delivery. Let's go. And again, you just can't be afraid. Even if market's gonna run through it, right? It's a good lesson to learn, and you just keep going, right?
Do you have a specific strategy when it consolidates, like the market's just not moving on the 1 minute? Do you just stay out, or do you have an employ a strategy towards that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And more times than not, I'll just stay out of it, right? If the
Yeah,
market is looking very, very ugly, it's not worth it, right?
yeah.
Why? Like I said, trading is a defensive game, and if it's only providing you very, very high probability losing setups and losing trades, why would you want to be a part of that, right? If you can observe price action and say, "Wow, that is that is horrifying. That's horrible." Like that is giving me every reason not to go in. You shouldn't be a part of it, right? You shouldn't find reasons. Don't let the market come to you. Let the market give you an undeniable reason to get into the market. Don't try to rationalize how every single move should be a reason to you to get in, right? And if it's consolidating, right? If it's not there,
Mm.
don't care.
I love your mindset, man. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I've learned a lot from you, actually. So if I had one more question to ask you, it'd be if you had to start all over again, where would you start?
Yeah, I would never do day trading ever again. I'm just like, no. If I had to start from square one, again, I would definitely, if I had some of the insight I knew, like knowing where I should go, I would definitely, go straight to, learning, ICT concepts and, SMC trading, and I would just move all of the social media side stuff to the side because I've
Mm,
seen so many social media gurus, and I've met a lot of my good trading friends who've come from these, gurus who will demand thousands of dollars from you. And my philosophy is, right, if you're making money from the markets, right, you don't need to be making money off of other people, right? If you're
absolutely.
truly making money from the markets, and that's why I offer my Discord for absolutely free, right? I want to watch not only myself grow, but also get insight from my other traders who are going to help me grow, and then likewise they're getting insight from me, and they're growing, and we're growing as a community. And it's really, really great. And so, honestly, start over again. Start with ICT and SMC,
Yeah.
hunker down, get on a demo account, try to start making 10 to 15% for a few months in a row. Don't enter on anything. Don't put a dime in. Of course, maybe if you want like real-time data, but don't put a dime into any funded accounts, any live accounts, anything. Because I find so many traders going straight to live or
Yes.
straight to funded accounts because they want the money now. And trust me, you're gonna reap what you sow in this market. That's going to be the realest advice you're going to hear. You reap what you sow. You make the best decisions, you're going to get the most amount of profitability. So at the end of the day, if you start over or if you're starting right now, to you trader who is watching this right now, don't go be don't get swept off your feet from all of the social media that's gotten you into trading. Take your time, set up a demo account, watch how these markets move, and start learning. Start learning,
Mhm.
use the time. I understand if you're working and you got a job and you got kids and you have all these responsibilities, set like an hour a day. You can make an hour a day where you just sit down, learn the stuff, watch the markets, study up. Even if you can't trade New York session, go back and look at New York session, see what it did, right? And then over time, you're